Now that you know what a decimal is and what they look like, we need to be able to write them down. We need to be able to use them, add, subtract, multiply, divide them. We need to be able to do things with these numbers. So let's see if we need to be able to compare them. Comparing is a very vital skill to be able to know if you've got enough money to buy something or if you've got more money than that person. There's lots of different ways. Lengths of timber, if you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber. Decimals are an important part of life, especially when you're building or just having money in your bank. It doesn't matter. There are decimals everywhere. So let's start writing them. How do I write a decimal? Okay, it's very similar to a whole number. It's just we need to use a decimal point. That's it, and place them in the right order. So let's say I have one whole. I've got one full square. How would you write that? 1. Done. Easy. What if I said that I don't have just one, but I have 1 and 2/10? So as you remember in my last video, I broke my 1 into 10 equal parts. So if I have tenths, it's my 1 broken into 10 equal parts. Imagine I had 2/10. So I move this away. And I've got 2/10, so 1 and 2/10. Well, I need to place my decimal because I'm talking with decimals. So now I know that anything on the right-hand side is a decimal. And how many tenths do I have? My first place value? Well, I have 2. Easy. All right. But what if I have a few hundredths? Well, again, a reminder, here are my hundredths. If I have 100 of them, I have 1 whole. Let's say I only have 3 hundredths. Cut this. We'll put it there. So we've only got a very small part of my whole, of the next whole. So put it here, 3 hundredths. Well, if they're hundredths, I need to put them in the hundredths column. So I've got 1, 2/10, 3 hundredths. Not so hard after all, is it? Now, there are a few ways you can actually label these, use them as names. So I can say 1.23. Now, that's the easy way of saying it. That's what you'll hear in everyday language. However, for our learning, I want you to use the proper names. So 1 and 2/10, 3 hundredths. Or you could say 1 and 23 hundredths. And you're like, hold on, there are not 23 hundredths there. Yes, there are. Because remember, just like 1/10 is made up of ones, tenths are made up of hundredths. So let's have a look at that. So here are my hundredths. Put my 3 hundredths there. All right, so here's 1/10. Here are 2/10. So you can see they're covering up 20 hundredths. And I said before that I have 3 hundredths, so I shade in 3 of my hundredths. And that's where we can call them 23 hundredths, because even though they are tenths, we can rename them into a new name. Now that we know how to write our numbers, we can actually start to compare them. If I wrote a number underneath and I had the same 1, I had another 1, and I had 2/10 and 4 hundredths. Okay, which one's bigger? Well, this one, because even though they have the same ones, this one has 24 hundredths and this one has 23 hundredths, just like our normal comparing. What about if I did this? Let's say both have 1, so we can't use them to compare. Let's use our hundredths knowledge. Well, this has got 2/10 and this has 1/10. Well, automatically we now know that this is bigger than this. What if I had this number? let's make 11. And you often see a 0 there. Which one's bigger? Gotcha. This is definitely not bigger. Let's look. We have 11 versus 11. All right, they're the same size. 3/10 and 3/10, same size. We've got nothing, but we also have 0 here, 0 hundredths. So these numbers equal the same. So you need to compare each place value, okay? Sometimes you can group our place values, 20 hundredths compared to 19 hundredths. Well, that's bigger. 23 hundredths compared to 24 hundredths. That's bigger, that's smaller. I might just be able to compare the tenths. Let's write another number. I'll put it in a different colour. 0 ones and 32 hundredths, or 0 ones and 4/10. Well, 0 ones, cool. 3/10 versus 4/10. Well, 4/10 is bigger because we have more tenths. Now we can see that clearly here. 3/10, 1, 2, 3, compared to 1, 2, 3, 4. What would you rather have more of a chocolate bar? 4/10 of a chocolate bar or 3/10 of a chocolate bar? I know I would rather have 4/10.